we talk about innovation, I'll go a little bit beyond energy efficiency because sometimes for a lot of us working, innovation is obviously a lot of overblown word in many ways, because if you look at what we work on is trying to link up sustainable energy to see if any of the interventions can lead to a delta marginal decrease in poverty in many ways. So that's what we focus on. How do you look at sustainable energy and poverty eradication? And numerous applications of innovations are possible in that. Unfortunately, what happens is, in a country like India, who gets the money? PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. Non-Excel sheets, non-PowerPoint guys, non-English speakers in the country have no chance. Absolutely no chance. Why is China more innovative? Because the non-English speakers get innovation money. We have to, when 70% of this country is in the rural areas, how many of us would actually risk putting innovation money in a Kannada resume or a Hindi resume? Which is ridiculous. There are so many innovators. There are so many entrepreneurs in many ways, right? But why don't we do that? And that is where I think, sir, I mean, you said I got a lot of awards. I got a lot of awards because I speak English. Non-English speakers, who are the guys who actually innovated in our company, will never get the recognition. A simple thing, when people say solar is expensive, and how do we reach out to people who earn less than 1,000 rupees a month? See, what a person who earns less than 1,000 rupees a month would actually require a light at home so that somebody can study or somebody can work for extra 3 to 4 hours. So what we did was we put solar panels on top of a school, the light and battery at home, the battery being less than the weight of a lunchbox. So the kid carries the battery to the school and plugs it into the school's charging station. So if she doesn't come to school, there's no light at home. So the mother says, I don't care whether you study or not, you go to school because I need light at home. Who innovated that? And we don't even publicize those innovations, right? Nobody does, because it's somebody else who is a non-English speaker who has actually innovated it in many ways, right? Now, you hire an IM guy to write an equation on it, right? And then he will theoretically say that how it's uneconomical and we need to put a coal-fired plant. The question is, it's A plus B plus C. A being a coal-fired plant, B is the transmission line, and C is what you pay, right, at home for whatever use. A is the school, B is the kid, C is the house where she has the light. A and B could be an entrepreneur who delivers the lights, or could be any of those combinations that you can actually do. That's where innovation actually happens. Technology in terms of the batteries, business model innovation where you look at infrastructure. It's not a solar product, solar being the infrastructure of education. And how do you actually look at these business model? Problem is, we are not spending enough time in the rural areas or where the problems exist to actually know what the problem is. Today, we all have solutions and we try to fit a problem to it, rather than looking at what the problem is and then start to look at what the solution is. And that's what he was saying. I get 350 applications on a yearly basis, 300, 350, 5 Indians apply. मैं rural में नहीं जाना है, बिस्लरी पानी है कि नहीं. I said, if to the youngsters I tell in 5 years if the Americans and Europeans know more about India, don't blame yourself. And that is where innovation lies. And this is a country, India, is a paradox of an overdeveloped and underdeveloped country. We have, out of the 1.6 billion people who do not have electricity in the world, we have the most, 300 million people. We have the most number of poor people. We also have a lot of rich people. This is a country which can actually, because Africa is 5 steps behind, South America is 2 steps behind, and Southeast Asia is 3 steps behind. This is a country of innovations in the rural areas. If Africa has to look at how did a country remove poverty in a sustainable manner, the only country that it can look is towards India. But we are looking at whatever innovations that needs to happen from Europe and America and say that how can it be applicable here. I think we need to get away from the mindset. And that is what, I mean, look at our own universities. If MIT has 5 programs on India, Poverty Action Lab, that Action Lab, India Poverty Lab, or not a single of our universities has something that is solely dedicated to rural poverty and rural innovation. And until we do not change that paradigm shift, we can't really look at innovation. So one more thing, when we look at innovations, I don't know how many of you know Siddhis. Siddhis are these African slaves who were brought in by the Portuguese 120, 125 years ago. And when the Portuguese left, many of the Siddhis were left behind in Karnataka, Gujarat, and then in Pakistan. And we've been as racist as any other society. Many of these Siddhis who come from Mozambique and Tanzania, because of the color of the skin, obviously haven't got integrated into the society. And if you go to their houses, are time frozen in many ways. An average Siddhi earns 1,500 rupees a month. Out of the 1,500 rupees a month, 140 rupees goes for kerosene and candles. Because they work on somebody else's farm, they have a mobile phone. How many of us here have actually ever paid for charging a phone? Ever? Have you ever paid? We are all subsidized. We go to the airport and find somebody else pays for it, the electricity in the airport. We're all subsidized. We live under the subsidies of the poor. The poor subsidize in this country in many ways, right? 60% of this country pays for it. An average Karnataka poor pays 8 rupees per charge. A poor from Bihar pays 5 rupees a charge. He goes to the nearest town. 8 to 10 charges a month, 50 rupees on charging a cell phone. So 140 rupees plus 50 rupees is 200, approximately 200 rupees multiplied by 12, 2,500 rupees multiplied by 5, 12,500 rupees in 5 years, candles, kerosene, and mobile charging. A person who earns less than 1,500 rupees a month. How many of us would pay more than 10 to 15% on energy? And that's for the poor. As you go deeper into the economic strata, actually the cost of what people pay for services actually goes higher.